Hey, today's guest is Lindi with Ripple Effect, a local boutique Lagree studio here in Southern Indiana. And today we are going to talk to her about her new business, how it came to be, their goals, and how Bonaventure Bookkeeping has played a critical role.
We wanted to know more first just about you.
Yeah.
So we're here in Louisville, your studio's in Southern Indiana.
Yes.
But you're not from here, right?
I am not. So I grew up in Denver. I've lived a handful of places. I went to college at the University of Nebraska. I studied advertising and media communications. One of my fun facts, I actually studied Spanish too. I was very close to having a Spanish major, but I just settled for a minor and I graduated early instead.
There you go.
Totally lost on me now. I'm out of practice, but it was fun to study in school. And I stuck around, lived in Lincoln, Nebraska, probably between school and my career after for probably a total of 8 years. I got a master's degree again in media and I got started in the sports industry. Mm-hmm. I worked for a company that represented the multimedia rights for the University of Nebraska. Mm-hmm. Essentially a fancy way of saying they sold the advertising at all the sports venues. So if you go to a football game or a basketball game, all the signage that runs alongside the court, down on the field, I worked for the company that sold that. And really fun job. I mean, when you're in Nebraska, Nebraska football is everything to them. It's funny, I didn't care about sports at all growing up. And for some reason, I just really wanted to go to a college that it was important. I don't know. Worked out though. I met my husband, my now husband. He actually was a football coach at Nebraska. And we kind of have taken a journey since we've been there. I worked briefly at Ohio State in Columbus. And then he took a job at Purdue University. And so I joined him in West Lafayette, Indiana. We lived there for a quick 8 months. Louisville folks know that Jeff Brom got hired here at the university, and we were lucky enough to be brought down and quickly moved to Louisville, got settled right on into the community, and really have enjoyed it ever since. I live south of Louisville in Fern Creek, so being in Indiana with our business is a little bit different. But my business partner, she is born and raised Southern Indiana, and she just, when we started talking about this idea of opening a fitness studio, she told me that she really felt that there was a need in Southern Indiana, and I just jumped right on it. At the time when we moved here, I was working downtown, so the building that we're in, I could actually see my office. From that place, but I have since moved on to a different job. I work in live events, I guess. I don't know. It's kind of a niche job, but I work for a company that builds brand activations. And so we have a bunch of different turnkey units that are like trailers or larger scale units that can be set up at large scale events. Like I've been to the draft, Super Bowl, NASCAR races,
awesome.
Miami F1, and we just work with a multitude of clients to create experiences at these events.
So that explains why your Instagram for Ripple Effect is so good.
Yes, for sure. Definitely have a lot of ideas, see a lot of cool marketing, but with it being my background, I am interested in it. I will give Heidi the credit though. She does most of our marketing. She does the merchandise. While I have a background in that, our roles are very split, and they actually were very evident when we started talking about opening a business. We were going through the process. We had talked to attorneys and we had talked to accountants and all this stuff. And they recommended that the two of us sat down and really divvied out how we thought the business would operate, because we were trying to get into the legalities of an operating agreement, buy-sell agreement, all those things to protect ourselves early on. And the attorney jokingly was like, go get a cup of coffee or a glass of wine and, sit down and do it. And so we went to a coffee shop and we started writing a list of here's every single thing that we think could get done or have to be done in this operating business. And we started giggling after, 5 line items, because we were like, it is clear as day who is responsible for what.
Good. That's awesome.
It helped a lot. I mean, that makes us really good business partners is we both have our niches. So
I've seen a lot of business partnerships sink because people just have bad expectations from everybody involved, or they might talk about the business and how it's going to play out, but they have built-in expectations about what the other person is going to do that never got fully unpacked.
Yeah.
And then when it doesn't play out that way, it can be messy.
It's funny, especially since we were taking some time talking about personalities and such. Heidi and I have very different personalities, which I think is good. She always jokes that she needed to marry someone and go into business with someone with the personalities that her husband and I have, because him and I are very similar. I think we hold her accountable very well. One of the jokes that I think kind of describes the dynamic between the two of us is before we even really started construction, Heidi would never stop talking about how excited she was to decorate the studio for Christmas. And I could not wrap my head around that because I just kept saying, we don't even have walls. Like the studio doesn't even have walls. How are you concerned about Christmas decor? You know, she's talking about how she's gonna, you know, should she go snag a Christmas tree while it's on sale for the studio and stuff? I'm like, we don't even, like, we have nothing planned.
We're looking at our blueprints.
Correct. We're standing here in rubble, and you're thinking about.
She's gonna make a great mom.
She is 1,000%. But she's standing there thinking about like where the Christmas tree should go. So I think that is kind of shows our dynamic very well. She's responsible for, like I said, she actually does the social. She does the merch. She does a lot of the community partnerships. We've done some pop-up events, and I say I'm the one that keeps the lights on, but in reality, it's actually Erin who helps us quite a bit on that front. But, you know, I look at our bank account every single day. I run our reports every single day. I just take on a lot of the operational things, and she takes on a lot of the marketing. But back to my career, I mean, it would make a lot of sense for me to do the marketing, but I've actually really enjoyed more of the operational side. I do get to be semi-creative at work. I'm in business development, really. So I help brands, either they come to us with, here's what we want to do, or we help them develop different activations, like based on the goals that they have of, you know, whether they want to create a hospitality space or they want to do giveaways or interactive things. So I kind of get to be creative there, and I just get to ripple effect, and I am like all business.
Nice. So then where did you and Heidi meet?
Yeah, Heidi loves this story. We were actually just talking about this morning. We actually met at a group fitness class. So I was teaching at a studio in St. Matthews. When I moved to Louisville, one of the things that I did to just help myself get involved was join a studio. At the time, the one I was working out at was hiring instructors, and they were going to take a group to a training for Lagree, which is a very specific type of workout. Obviously, that's what we offer at Ripple Effect. So I went to the Lagree training, and it just kind of helped me, you know, find a place and establish a community. And Heidi came in to take a class, and someone else that was in the class was like, oh, have you two ever been introduced to each other? We just kind of started chatting, and Heidi started coming to my classes, and one day asked me if I wanted to get a cup of coffee after class, and just kind of quickly became friends. I think the fitness community in general is a great place to meet people. It's always intimidating. I think the age that we are at, I'm about to be 30. It's kind of a weird place to be to make friends, right? You're not in high school anymore, obviously. College, you're just surrounded by friends. And this age that we're at right now, you see people who are focusing on their careers. You see people who are focusing on a family. And so finding like-minded people who have similar interests, it's kind of like finding a hidden gem.
Yeah.
So I was really lucky that Heidi and I just quickly became fast friends. Our thing was going to workout classes together. You know, we'd book a class at 7 a.m., get coffee after, and just go about our days. So one day we were at a fitness class, and Heidi had just gone on a trip with her husband, and they were in some cute, quaint little town in Georgia. And I guess while they were walking around the town, they were like, oh, wouldn't this be such a cute place for a workout studio? And anyway, it got their wheels turning about potentially opening one at some point in Indiana.
Once you start thinking about opening a business, it's just like, you can't stop thinking about it.
You get hyper fixated for sure.
You're just like, but the puzzle pieces make sense, and so why wouldn't I do it?
Absolutely. So we were in the parking lot at this class, and she's just, you know, telling me this story. And I said, well, hold on. You know, if you're actually serious, like, let's talk about it. And she, you know, kind of looked at me funny. And the next morning we got coffee. And as I said, when it comes to this business, I'm kind of like the operational person. I had put together a spreadsheet of fitness studios in Louisville, fitness studios in surrounding states that offered the same kind of fitness, Lagree. I had put together the rates of all the studios, tagged their Instagrams, and I thought to myself, like, I just presented it to Heidi, and I was like, I think we could really figure this out.
Yeah.
And from there, we were just full steam ahead. I mean, we couldn't talk about anything else. We were constantly sending each other stuff on Instagram. We were in.
Yeah.
It's funny, we look back and we felt like everything was taking so long when we got started. I mean, from the time that we had this first conversation to the time that we opened our doors, it was probably 14 months.
Wow.
Which is,
in some sense, it's no time at all. In another sense, it is a long time.
Yeah,
it's over
absolutely.
A year, you know?
So.
Well, I definitely think in the Southern Indiana world, there was definitely a need there because most of Southern Indiana is just retail. And like this is retail too, but a lot of it is boutiques. A lot of it's food and coffee. And there's definitely room for more fitness. But what, I guess, for everybody at home, what is Lagree?
Yeah.
But don't give us like just the 30-second pitch. Like, what makes Lagree special?
Sure. It's a good question. It's a very unique workout. It was unlike anything I had ever done before. I actually took my first Lagree class when I lived in Columbus, Ohio. They had a few studios. And when I moved to West Lafayette, Indiana, they didn't have one, which I was very disappointed about. So when I got to Louisville, I was really excited to see that there was one in the market. Lagree is a low impact, high intensity workout. It uses a megaformer is what it's called. It's a spring loaded machine. So it's got a platform on the front and back end, the center carriage, it moves and you can control with the springs how heavy it is. So it's got, light springs, heavy springs. There's cables on the back end that you can control the carriage with as well. So the goal of a Lagree class is to stay in a heavy working zone or a tension zone as long as humanly possible. So you could be doing lunges, squats, push-ups, but every movement you're doing is at least a 4-count movement. And the goal of that is to be in that tension zone and hanging on to a period of the movement where you're actually like quaking and shaking in your muscles before you bring it right back in. And Lagree is continuing to evolve. It is a method that was designed by a gentleman named Sebastian Lagree. It's rooted in Pilates, if you will. We joke that it's like Pilates' strength-based sister. But Pilates is more of a restorative workout. It's a lot more about recovery, where Lagree is about getting your heart rate up. It's about building strength. So I think it's kind of a slept-on thing. People anymore call just about anything Pilates. Like anything that is resistance-based, you just see it being called Pilates. And Lagree is way more challenging in my opinion. I can say that. My mom was a classically trained Pilates instructor, and when I was in high school, she used to make me go to her classes, and I mean, it was like a form of torture. No one wants to do what their mom is interested in when they're 16, and I just thought it was lame. Like, I was a competitive gymnast growing up. I thought that it was lame.
Yeah.
So when I hear people call Lagree Pilates, I'm like, no, I've done Pilates, and this is not Pilates. Super strength based. People tell us that they see and feel the results after like 3 to 4 classes.
I would agree.
Yeah, Ruth Ann is a client of ours. She can talk about it a little bit too, but it's very different. Every class is different. Every time you come in, you're going to get a full body workout. Even, there's studios that offer certain like upper body days, or they offer like a core and seat focused day. But even so, you're still going to get activation in your other muscle groups. Like every single time you're doing a movement there, your core is engaged, even if it's an arm movement, even if it's a leg movement. So it's really great in that sense that every single time you walk in there, you get a full body workout.
Yeah. Well, what do you like about Lagree?
Oh, I'm not just saying this to like sell your I love Lagree. And this is coming from someone who literally, when I say I have no fitness background, I mean, I'm not just talking about, I had 4 kids in 4.5 years. So that's a lot on someone's body. But so I wasn't even thinking about working out then. But even prior to that, I'm like, guys, I don't work out. Okay. And so I still remember like when Aaron came home after he first met you and Heidi, and he was telling me like they're opening this, and he was trying to explain it, but obviously he doesn't really know what Lagree is. And he's like, I know it's kind of like Pilates. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't even know what Pilates is. Like, guys, I don't know. But he did, which is funny. I think this is kind of how I ended up coming to Lagree, is he told me that day that, like, you guys, maybe it was you or Heidi, had mentioned, like, Pilates is good for restorative. And I was like, oh, well, I've had some children. I could really work on my core. And so I started doing like literally 5-minute little YouTube videos for Pilates. And even just in that, like in a few weeks, my like little, can get like a little separation, like ab separation after having children. It's totally gone. And I was like, I think I kind of like this Pilates a little bit. But again, you guys weren't open yet. And so as I was doing a little, even just like 5 to 10 minutes, I just really felt the difference. And so when you guys were opening, Aaron was like, you should just go check it out. And so I was really nervous. I didn't even know what to expect. I've never even been to like a regular Pilates class or anything. I've done it all from YouTube. And so the first class, I was terrified and I went in and it hurt, but I loved it. Like, it's like that feeling afterwards where you're like, I like love to hate that. You know what I'm saying? Like it felt so great. And so after that, I told Aaron, I was like, I'm going back. I am going back. And so I've only been doing it like 6 to 7 weeks. I'm almost to 20 classes. And I actually was like, instead of just doing twice a week, I'm going 3 times a week. I think I'm at 4 times last. Like I love it. And it's so, especially as someone who would definitely consider a beginner, it is very beginner friendly. I feel like, even though it's hard, it's not easy. And half time of the class, I'm like struggling and I'm thinking like, everyone's looking at me, but I'm like, I'm not looking at anyone else because I'm struggling. So I know nobody else is looking at me, you know?
Yeah.
And so I just feel like it's, at least from my point of view, someone with no fitness background, that it's very easy to just jump in and do it. And yeah, you're going to be sore, but I love it. I think it's so great. And so.
Well, I'm glad you made some really good points there, because one thing we hear a lot is that people are just intimidated. Like they don't want to come because they're scared, or we hear people that come from their first class and they say, you know, their friends dragged them and they didn't want to do it and all those things, which honestly is very valid. I think group fitness can be intimidating, especially something you've never done before.
No one likes being the guy that doesn't know how to
what
do
they're doing.
1000%.
Fatter than everyone else.
Yeah.
Yes. And you're right. You do feel like everyone's looking at me, everyone's watching me, but I know when I go into a group fitness class, I'm watching no one but myself. I half the time have my eyes closed, or, you know, I'm locked into what's going on. But, you know, we hear that people are intimidated, and it's fun being a new studio, because the one thing I say to everyone is, we just opened. Everyone is taking their first class.
Yeah.
Like every single person has to try this for the first time. We just today celebrated our first milestone of 50 classes, which is incredible. Awesome. Yeah, we're super excited for that client, but everyone is still in that very new, I mean, 50 is a lot, but there's people at other fitness studios that have taken 800, 1,000 classes, you know, so we're still very new. Everyone's trying it for the first time. And I do say to clients too, it doesn't get easier necessarily. You just start to figure out what you're doing.
Yes.
You get more confident in the workout. It doesn't sound like gibberish anymore when the instructor's just talking nonstop at you, and it starts to hit a little bit different, right? You start to really hone in on the muscles that are supposed to be working. And when you can start to see and feel the result, I mean, it's addicting.
It
you
really is.
Want to go right back in.
And you start to learn, like, even I was never thinking about, like, I need to remember the names of these moves, or, you know, and so, but now just going into class, when they say, like, we're going to do the saw, I'm like, oh, yep, I know what that means. Like, you know, so it's just like you start to learn it over time, and you get quicker with your transitions too. I feel like my last few classes, we've been working on that, like, let's get a little quicker in our transitions. And so you just, once you know it's just, you don't even think about it, you know? So I can't speak like better things about it. I've been telling people,
so excited.
Yeah. And I've been telling me and Aaron both have been telling some of my friends, like, you should come, like, let's go with me. Because again, like I said, all of my like current friends, like, have all just had children, and I'm like, I know that it's hard, but it's really not, again, it's beginner friendly. It doesn't, you know, I worked on my core before, and I'm really glad that I did, because I felt like if I hadn't, it might maybe be a little too hard in some of the core stuff. But because I had even taken the few weeks to work on like getting my abs better, it's like no problem at all.
Yeah,
so.
It definitely is a little bit of a shock to the system, because every single thing is hitting your core. And so I do think, to your point, easing into it a little bit may have helped the transition. And especially after having kids, I don't know what that's like, but we get a lot of feedback about people having a hard time with their core. And this every single thing just hits your core right away. Yeah. We do try our very best to offer modifications for clients to help make it less intimidating. And, you know, we talk as instructors on the mic. I just said to someone this morning, you know I'm on here telling you don't stop, don't quit, hang on to it, fight through the pain. Every person is at a different place in their fitness journey. If you ever take a class next to me, I'm the biggest complainer. I'm the first one to stand up. I'm all talk on the mic. And when I'm in class, it hurts.
Yeah.
Like, I understand it hurts. We're doing it right there with you. And, you know, to your point, no one's worried about what you're doing. Like, your only competition in there is yourself. And I try to remind clients, the best thing that you can do is just give everything you have to offer for that day. And what you can do fitness wise looks different every single day. You know, you have outside factors weighing on you, but we just want to create a community and a place that people can come in, unplug, like leave everything at the door and just truly spend 50 minutes to pour into themselves. I personally know that for me, fitness is so much more about like the mental aspect, the dopamine rush that I get after and the endorphins, than it is about looking a certain type of way. I just feel so much better when it's part of my fitness routine. And that's what I try to encourage people. Like, you're not in here because you hate yourself. You're actually in here because you love yourself and you're giving back to yourself. So you should never be in there looking in the mirror thinking like, I need to do saw so many times to get my core down. It's like, no, you're strengthening part of you just so that you can be better in your everyday. Like, when you have a stronger core, you have better posture, and you're just opening the doors to health. And that's kind of where actually the name of Ripple Effect started, is the impact and the ripple that you experience in your everyday life by just including this small change into your daily routine, or, you know, including it 2 times a week. The impact is just insurmountable.
Yeah, absolutely. I started my own fitness journey back at the beginning of the year. Really, it was like more for physical at the time because, you know, I'd had a bunch of kids and I'm like, I don't love the way I look. But honestly, it has turned so much more into like the mental aspect of it. Like, Aaron is like, encourages me, like, you should go, because he sees the difference. Like, and halfway through class, you know, like when I get in there, sometimes I'm like, I'm not really feeling it today. But even just halfway through, I'm like, look at me go, you know, like I totally agree. The mental health has been like just night and day for me. Oh, yeah. And it's time to do. Yeah.
She comes home just like
so excited,
really bubbly and happy.
Yeah.
And just like super energized.
Yes.
When she wakes up in the morning, doesn't really matter what happened the day before, whether it was the best day ever or the worst day ever. When she wakes up in the morning, she's just like, she's a zombie.
If it wasn't for him, I'd never wake up for a 6 a.m. class. But
because she wakes up, but now she can wake up for a 6 a.m. class and come home like super pumped, just energized and happy and ready to take on the day, ready to homeschool, ready to, you know, just do everything that's part of her daily life. Yeah.
And I love that, like, almost every instructor, especially the morning ones, will say something about like, you know, this is time for you, so that after this you can go out and do whatever. And I'm like, it's so true, because after this I feel like on cloud 9, I can go home and deal with 4 screaming children or whatever that we have for that day. And it doesn't, like, my burden feels lighter, you know? And so I really struggled prior to that with just like, I feel like I got angry too quick, and I don't think I had that outlet, you know? And so my fitness journey, but specifically like Lagree, there has been like a total change. And so I
just have goosebumps like hearing it. I mean, it's awesome. I just know what the experience is like for me, and I just feel, you know, affirmation hearing it from other people. Okay. And so, thank you for sharing that. I love that. Of course. I know I try and say, like, something I find myself saying a lot is that taking time for fitness in your health is not selfish.
Yes,
you know, I know a lot of people think that like leaving their kids for an hour a day is, well, I'm sure it's hard. You know, you have to be thoughtful about schedules and routines, etc. But getting that time back for you, filling up your own cup. I mean, we hear it all the time, but truly doing it, it just is totally worth it. And to hear you, you know, talk about your journey, it's just obvious that taking those 50 minutes and juggling your schedule, however, if it's waking up at 6 a.m. to get in there and get your time, I mean, it's so valuable to be able to take care of yourself and have that space and just feeding back into your body.
Yeah. I mean, so, we're Catholic, and the spiritual life is very important. You know, you are not just a material being, and to make time for prayer, meditative prayer and such, all those types of things help with the types of things that you just described. But likewise, you're not just a ghost in a machine. Like your body is not just a container for our soul. We are body and soul. And so like taking care of your body, taking care of your soul, both of those things are pretty important. I know everything material can be so easily denigrated to be like, yes, you work out for vanity or this or that, but it's like, it makes you feel a lot better.
Listen, like vanity or not, I mean, there is something to like a confidence level, right?
Yeah.
Like when you see the change, you get a little extra pep in your step, and you can't deny that. There's nothing wrong with it. I go in that class and I watch myself in the mirror and I look at my muscles. Like I am working hard, and that is part of it. Like you do see change in your body, but at the end of the day, I think what is the most important is the feeling that you get.
Absolutely.
But the confidence that comes with it, I mean, hey, it's a nice added bonus. Like, do I want to look a little bit better in my jeans? For sure.
Don't we all?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, well, so then who's your ideal client other than stay-at-home moms who need time for themselves?
Truthfully, for me, what I like in a client is just people who want to be there and people that, make it an inviting space. Like everyone's going through something, you don't know what's happening outside of these walls, but I love a client that comes in, interacts with other people, and is just willing to take on feedback in class. I'm not a perfect student of Lagree. No one is. It's an ever evolving workout. It's can be difficult when you're in class to like make changes. You feel the most comfortable in your body. You feel like you're doing things right. So clients who are willing to listen to feedback, make adjustments, I always appreciate that. And then just clients that like give a little bit of energy. I am a woo girl in class, generally more fit for like a HIIT type workout or a cycle workout, but I like to try and give off a little bit of energy in the room. Definitely a stark difference in classes where people are just locked in the zone, quiet to themselves versus, classes that have chitter chatter and people that, even if you're grunting and groaning, like I think it's funny and adds to the energy and keeps it lighthearted. So to me, an ideal client is one, like I said, someone who's like willing to take feedback, who wants to grow, wants to learn the method, and two, people who are just excited to be a part of the community, because I do think we're building something special, and it warms my heart when I see clients interacting with each other, clients welcoming in new people and helping them feel comfortable in the space. So a combination of those things. Yeah. I certainly don't have any clients that come to mind that I don't like, but every day's different. I feel the energy differently every day in the studio. I feel like the way I teach is different every day, but people who want to be there, want to continue to grow the community and make others feel welcome, I think are top of mind for what I like in a client.
Yeah.
Nice. So it sounds like when you guys started this, that it was kind of just Heidi got the bug. It kind of got passed along to you, and you guys just thought it made sense. But prior to it, did either one of you have, entrepreneurial ambitions or?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I think my short answer would be no. I am a very driven career person. Like I put a lot of value in my career and a lot of value in what I earn, and, that I'm able to support the kind of lifestyle that I have or that I like. I don't know if I ever really thought about opening any kind of business. Heidi and I had both been involved in group fitness from a teaching standpoint. I, like I said, taught at a Lagree studio. She is a Pure Barre instructor. She had worked at another women's fitness studio in Louisville as well. But truthfully, I don't know if either of us had ever really considered starting a business. Heidi's husband is a very talented architect. He has a little bit of drive to do some independent projects. He did our project. My husband is very career driven as well. So I'm glad that we did this. It felt like a big leap of faith, but it's also felt very natural. I think that Heidi and I had done our research, asked the right people questions. We have found the right people to support us on this journey. I am the first to say, like, I don't know anything, and that's why there's specialists in industries, right? Like, I'm not afraid to say I can't balance a checkbook or I can't balance, our accounts.
Yeah.
That would just be an irresponsible business decision. So what do? You go find someone who is talented in that. And that's helped us a lot. But it's been kind of a pleasant surprise how easily and how naturally it came for us. Obviously not without hurdles, but I definitely think we had entrepreneurial spirit down there deep inside that neither of us had really considered. So it's been a fun awakening from that front. I will say, I mean, Heidi's very motivated to continue being an entrepreneur. I love having my career outside of Ripple too. It's kind of a pride thing too as well to be able to balance them both. I know there will be a time where our lives change and, you know, we both consider families and maybe that'll look a little bit different, but yeah.
No, that makes sense, especially that last comment about wanting to be able to have and do both.
Yeah.
As I was surrounded, I feel like, by entrepreneurs growing up. Like my dad, always in some capacity, was working for himself, whether it's sales or bread routes. And bread routes, you oftentimes own your region or your route and such. And he wanted to own his own car lot. And then, like, a friend's dad made a bunch of money in commercial insurance and now is involved in a too many things to count. And I worked for him for like 5 years. My grandfather was a owner in a wholesale business that's still around in downtown New Albany. And so I always kind of knew I wanted to work for myself. And now that the bookkeeping is getting to just ever more levels that I never really truly anticipated, there's a part of me that's like, can I figure out how to have another business? Not necessarily something that I'm putting all my daily effort into, but something that I'm helping guide and helps take care of my family and such.
Yeah, it's funny. I don't know if I'd ever really considered up until this having multiple streams of income and I'm going to say in a serious manner because, you know, I was making income from teaching fitness classes and stuff. We always joke, like, we all know that doesn't pay the bills. You do that to fill your cup and to get a free fitness membership, right? There's a little bit of that. But now that I'm doing this, I realize how many people have multiple streams of income. You know, when we were talking about this and we kind of got into the middle stages of things really starting to happen, I went to my boss at work and I said, hey, I think I need to be honest with you that I am working on something on the side. And we were saying before, I'm like a very straight-laced, like black and white person. So I was like, I feel like I'm kind of being secretive and I need to tell you that I'm doing this. It's not interfering with my day job at all. You know, I work from 8 to 5 and then I'm at the studio at 6 a.m., at 5 p.m., whatever that is. And he just looked at me dead in the face and was like, tons of people at our company have side gigs. Like, I think that's awesome. Which was really
like
reaffirming.
Part of the American way.
Yeah. 1000%. It was super like reaffirming to me because I think sometimes we kind of get like the golden handcuffs of corporate. And I just, like I said, I'm very straight laced in the sense of I didn't want them to feel like I was taking advantage or anything like that. So I appreciated that conversation, but it made me realize like it is responsible to do more than one thing. And when people ask me what one of the biggest surprises of running a business is, it's actually, and I say this like knock on wood, we've been very lucky that it has nearly run itself. Like I said, we have great partners. You know, we're in and out of the studio a lot. We take on a lot of like client services, conversations, management, that kind of thing. But truly the burden hasn't been as much on a day-to-day basis as I expected it to be. Now, I wasn't here when our air conditioner went out and Heidi spent like 4 days dealing with that. But I don't know if I thought we could run a business so seamlessly and continue on with our daily jobs in the manner that we have. And it's been great. I'm so happy. Like, I thought that we would feel so much stress that I would just have to quit my job, right? Yeah. And now I feel more empowered to do both and to do more at both because I'm doing it and there's stressful days, don't get me wrong. But it's exciting, like the opportunities to be able to do both at the same time.
That's cool.
Do you feel like this is still more of like, fills up your cup rather than like, I mean, of course there's gonna be days that's like, it's work, but it feels more enjoyable and you really like what you're doing?
I do. Yeah. I think, well, you have a different sense of pride, right? When your name is on something.
Yeah.
And the ability to like make the personal connections and even to just hear your story. We get anecdotes like that from clients a lot that make us sit back and think, you know, we're really creating a safe place where people can better themselves. And while I love my job, I don't know if I see the personal impact in the same way.
Yeah.
Have a cool job. It's awesome. But like seeing a brand activation at a NASCAR race, like it doesn't fill your cup necessarily. It's cool. But when I hear stories from people, or, you know, people send us like photos of the transformations in their body and how it's helped them feel more confident, and people just willing to come in there and like share personal stories with us and stuff, that is what fills my cup. Another aspect that I say all the time that I love so much is leading a team. We have such a great team of instructors. We actually have 13 instructors, including Heidi and I. And I love our clients. Our clients are important to us. But most importantly to me is that I want to create an environment that people actually enjoy coming to teach. They want to teach. They want to be in classes. And I think at this point in time, we've done that. It's awesome to see people truly like take their free time, because a lot of people they have other jobs, they're moms, they have other things in their life, and they're still willing to give up, you know, a couple hours a week to come in and teach classes for us. I said it before, this generally doesn't pay the bills for people. Heidi and I always said it's like our coffee money. I've actually used it to justify way more things than it's ever paid for. But, you know, that they take the time for, you know, fairly minimal pay, and they still want to be in there. They're still volunteering to teach classes like when other people are out of town. So I take a lot of pride in the fact that we have a really great team. They genuinely enjoy working there. And I love to see and hear from our clients, like the impact our team has had on them. So that part has been really rewarding as well.
With just like you said, you justify expenses just because, like, oh, I got some money from teaching that class. You know, we can go do this thing, or I just go buy that thing. Oh, that actually continues to happen with running your own business. Like, yeah, I can afford that. It's fine.
Well, let's pretend when you run our expenses. We had a little shopping event the other day, and I told Heidi that I thought the business might be able to buy us a little something. And she again, I'm kind of the money person beyond Erin, but she was like, oh my God, I didn't even think we could do that.
It's uniforms.
Well, it is correct. We just did it. We deserved it. I mean, to me, the partnership that we had the other night was like a dream partnership for me. So I felt like it was an opportunity to celebrate.
Yeah, absolutely.
I justified it, but it's funny, when I was teaching and, you know, collecting my weekly paychecks from teaching classes, I was like, this is going to buy me this coffee. This pays for my cleaning lady at the house. That's how I justify it. I need those workout pants. It's okay. I taught classes last week. And it's like, girl, you didn't teach 100 classes.
It's girl math, you know?
Yeah, in my head, it's fine.
Absolutely.
At least I had that additional income, because imagine I would have found a way to justify those things if I didn't, and then it would have hurt more. So.
Yeah. That's funny. I actually I had like a $20 bill in my wallet that just came from something, and Erin was like, oh, you can just like use that to go buy coffee, and I'm like, this is like free money. It's like, you know, I'm like, this is great. I don't even think about like putting it in the budget, because like, this is just my free money.
Perfect. Yeah, exactly. There's no paper trail when it comes to dollar bills.
Yeah. I guess that my next question would be, so far, obviously you have reached some goals, you've opened and everything. And so like, what are some more, do you have any more like immediate goals versus also what are your long-term goals? You know, where do you want Ripple to go? Where do you want it to be? And
yeah, absolutely. I think an ongoing goal, as long as we're in business, is just to continue to grow and bring more people into the studio. Right. I don't know if we'll ever hit a ceiling where we're like, enough clients. Like, we don't want any more of you.
Know that feeling.
We are adding some class times coming this fall. You know, I think it's an opportunity for us to bring in new clients by offering more times. So that's always a constant goal. One thing that's important to us is community partnerships. I think as a new brand and a new boutique fitness place, building those relationships with those around us. We've tried to be pretty intentional about partnering with Southern Indiana businesses as much as we can. You know, our first place that we went was a Southern Indiana bank. You know, Erin has roots to Southern Indiana. And so building those partnerships, continuing just community events like that, I guess, that's something that's a priority for us. Long term, you know, we've talked about multiple studios, but I also think that we kind of need to enjoy where our feet are. I think it's really
Absolutely.
easy to be greedy and talk about what's next and what that looks like. But we have to step back and remind ourselves often that what we're doing right now is a lot more than we ever dreamt we would do. And I don't want us to get so far ahead that we like lose sight of what that is. You know, we've had a few pinch me moments around the clock or across the board, and I have to step back and say, like, we're really doing it. You know, this seemed like the craziest dream a year ago, and now today it's just like our everyday life, and we forget how ambitious that felt a year ago. So long-term goals, I mean, I do think there's opportunity for more studios. I think we need to figure out where we want to live and where we want to settle down. And, you know, for Heidi, it's Southern Indiana. For me, I have kind of spread my wings a little bit over the last few years, and I don't know if my husband and I are done doing that yet. So is the next ripple effect where we decide to settle down? I don't know. But that's a long-term goal, I think. I don't know. Is that a good answer?
Yes, absolutely. That's a great answer. I will say, I think, since you just mentioned location, I actually wanted to say earlier, I think your location is so great because I also am not from Southern Indiana. I'm from the sunny side. But we live over here in Louisville, and it's like 15 to 20 minutes from our house, and I go over the bridge to get there. And so I'm like, it's such a great location. And I have to say, you know, like growing up in Louisville, we like never went to Indiana for anything, where it's usually the opposite for people in Southern Indiana. They're always coming to Louisville.
It's a suburb of Louisville.
It is. But I've grown to love Southern Indiana. And so I love your location and just like supporting that little, like you said, that little suburb. And so I think it's great for anyone in both Louisville and Indiana. Like, it's so easy to get to. It's right over the bridge. And so it's a great location.
I appreciate you saying that. It's funny. I guess I didn't really realize the stigma not being from here. I don't know if stigma is the right word, but like people from Louisville are like, Indiana? And I'm like, what are you talking about? I can literally see Indiana from my house. Why is it that deep to just cross the bridge? But we have seen a good amount of clients that come over and they're all shocked at the fact that it is a pretty easy drive. I'll speak for Heidi in saying, I mean, she was driving to St. Matthews every single day to go work out, and she was crossing the bridge every day. So, you know, our goal in the whole thing was not to take people away from Louisville to come into Southern Indiana. The goal was really to give Southern Indiana something that they had been longing for. But we do have like a pretty good split of clients that come from Louisville to class. And like I said, they're shocked. I mean, a lot of them live either downtown or in the Highlands, but we do have people that come from St. Matthews, and, you know, maybe they just weren't getting what they wanted in St. Matthews, and so they decided to drive. But again, it's like, people were doing it. You're just doing it in reverse. So it's comforting to hear that. I'll tell you a quick funny story. When Heidi and I first started talking about this, and she mentioned, again, Southern Indiana being the spot, she was like, I have the perfect place in mind. Let's meet in Southern Indiana and we'll go for a walk. So this was last year, and the flood wall was still very much so under construction. So we started at Coffee Crossing and we went on a walk. I'm wearing like flip-flops. It's a spring day. And we're walking along the river, and Heidi's like, it's this building right here, Kern 812. Well, we happened to be on the side below where the flood wall was still being built, and we like scaled this dirt pile, big old hill. We're climbing up it, sweating, walking around the building, and we just had our sights set on it immediately. I think it's a good spot because it is a little suburb, right? And they're going to continue to develop that area, but most of the offerings are out truly in the suburbs. So it's fun to be in a new building. We were the first tenant open in that building, which was really exciting. They're going to continue to build. There's going to be another apartment complex coming next year. They're building us a big old parking lot, which we're excited about.
Awesome.
We did a ribbon cutting, and they shared that. The town did in the speech, and we all cheered, threw our arms up. But that area is going to be developed a ton over the next few years. And so for us to be part of the beginning of that was really exciting. We actually had met with someone from the development committee in Clarksville early on in the process, and she was telling us all the plans and the vision. And the street we're on, it's a main street, and every apartment complex is going to have main floor retail, and they're going to create like a main drag essentially. So just we're excited for the Sunday farmers markets and what the opportunity is there to continue to build that community with the area too, because as I said, community partnerships are important to us. Like, we want to be a mainstay on Main Street and we want to be so involved in the community. We said from the start, we want to be the test dummies for anything you all do. You know, call us, ask our opinion. We have plenty of them. So we'll give you anything you need here. And so it has been a great spot for us. Also having residents that live right upstairs. A lot of our clients live upstairs. They live across the street in Bolton Tie. And I think when this new apartment building comes up too, hopefully we can snag some people from there. I would certainly join the workout place downstairs.
That's downstairs.
If I could.
Yeah, I would think,
especially for that 6 a.m. class.
right downstairs. I don't necessarily have a ton of space to myself. Obviously, especially as they develop, they're going to have, you know, roads and sidewalks that they can jog down or whatever. But
for sure.
Yeah, having a fitness studio right there.
Well, and we've heard a lot about how they're trying to really focus on like the walkability of Clarksville.
That's awesome.
And creating a lot of like green spaces, open spaces, good bike and walking paths. And that was a selling point for us too. My dream Saturday is to go take a workout class, walk to the coffee shop, and then take, you know, a little hot girl walk, if you will, around. And so being in an area that's actually the city's goal, maybe not hot girl walk, but, you know, walkability and just being outside. I agree. I heard it as well. But, you know, that's just exactly the kind of environment that we wanted to be in.
Yeah. Well, I love that because we are all about like living, working, enjoying like your community, where you live and where you work, and just being able to do all of that. We spend just everybody so much time in our car. So I'm like, I just love that, even though like I drive to Ripple Effect, and I will always drive to Ripple Effect because we own a home, but it's like to know that there's going to be some little stores that are open or a farmer's market. So I'm like, I could go to class and then go to the farmer's market, which I love to do every Saturday.
Absolutely.
So we love that. And I love that is like a vision or a goal for you to be involved in a part of your community in Clarksville.
For sure. It's about lifestyle for us. I mean, we were talking about just the impact that fitness has on you, but it's such a bigger thing, right? So when you think about me, I would build my whole day around a fitness class, you know? So if I'm thinking about what I'm going to do this weekend, my Saturday is, well, I'm going to go to the 9 a.m. fitness class. I'm going to go to breakfast with my friends. We're going to take a walk. We're going to go to, you know, an event at the square, whatever it is. You know, that's a big selling point being in an area like that, is you can do all of it right there.
And so
you
like might not even ever have to get in your car. You can just walk everywhere.
You know, maybe you just drive over to the studio for the class, and before you know it, you're spending the whole afternoon or whole morning there.
Yeah.
As the suburban sprawl grew, too many things got isolated in their own little pockets, and everybody started feeling that pain.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, let me ask a self-serving question then.
Bring it on.
Yeah. So with bookkeeping, you know, I have a lot of clients that, or would-be clients that tell me, like, I need accounting. I need I need somebody to keep the books for me. I need to know what's up and what's down and to consolidate everything. And sometimes that's happening as they're starting their business, and they're so scared that like they haven't met, you know, a certain revenue threshold. And I get that this was a side hustle for you all, so you didn't have that same sense of like, well, I have to make this amount to pay my utility bill. But at the same time, you guys weren't just throwing your money around, and you felt comfortable taking that initial jump with me before you guys were even open. And I just was curious. Hopefully I'll get a good answer. Do you think that was a good decision to be able to see your numbers before you were even open, to see how everything's falling into place?
Yes. My answer is yes.
Cool.
I'll give a little bit of like backstory though. I mean, as I said before, I think Heidi and I joke all the time when it came to starting this business. Our go-to phrase was, we're just girls, you know, like we're just girls that want to open a fitness studio. Yeah. And while we made that joke a lot, I think we underestimated ourselves and how much actual knowledge we had, and going back to like our entrepreneurial conversations. Like, I actually think we made really smart decisions and were really thoughtful with every single thing we did. And one of the main parts of that was around finances. It's a hard conversation to have. Heidi and I vowed to each other from the start, like we were going to be very transparent about how we were going to handle money. And one of the most important things for us before we even got started was finding the right person to help us through that journey. You know, when you open a business, you take risk, for one. Two, it's, you know, no matter if you're financing or you're using your own money, I mean, you just have a lot hanging over you, right? I feel like the financial part is a little bit of a gray cloud, and I didn't want to feel that stress every single day. And so it was super important to have someone who, one, we could go to off the cuff at any time. I mean, I text Aaron a lot.
And we have a group chat.
We do have a group chat.
I've named it Ripple Effect.
Which we appreciate so much, but being able to have conversations, just transparency was super important. You know, like I said, I think money can always be a nuanced, like, sensitive conversation, and just being able to be vulnerable on that topic and talk in depth without feeling any type of way was super important. And I think we found that right away. Aaron will laugh when I recall this, but the first time that we got together with you, I said, you know, while we're getting started, like, I'd love help with payroll. And, you know, I feel like there's so many other things to focus on. And I told Aaron, like, I would love after a year to just do that myself. And Aaron kind of laughed, and he said, after a year, you're not going to want to touch your payroll. You're going to have so many other things going on. And it's so true. Like, I sometimes just have this moment where I'm like, oh shit, this would have been pay week. And I look at my email and I'm like, oh, Aaron's already got it all taken care of. Obviously, if I was doing it myself, I would have been more responsible, set some reminders, those kinds of things. But it's nice to just know that you have a trusted partner and it's not my burden. I can, you know, have trust that it's going to get done. And there was an instance where I, you know, texted and was like, someone said they didn't get paid. That's my biggest thing, is like, all of our instructors must be paid on time accurately. I've been in positions where that hasn't happened for me. And so that's something I'm really, I just stress it. So I called Aaron right away.
When there are mistakes in that regard across any of my clients, that's always where it hurts most.
Yeah. But I right away, like, called Aaron and I was like, hey, can you help me figure this out? Turns out just someone looked at the wrong bank account, whatever. We were all good. But, you know, I knew that I could just call Aaron and, like, we would find a solution. So it has been a great thing for us. It offered us great peace of mind. And as we go through this journey, like, we enjoy the friendship and the partnership side of it too. Heidi and I say this all the time. We want to be everyone's favorite client. And we're talking about a fitness studio here, right? We're not opening like a surgery center. So there's no lives on the line. Everything will get sorted out one way or another, but we want to be able to enjoy doing it. Yeah. We did this so we could have fun. And, you know, my other job is, like, really where I let the stress lie. That's what's going to pay my bills and keep the roof over my head. And so we try not to take this too serious. And it's just great to have partners that we can have fun with, we can have serious conversations with, we can plan with. You know, we've already started talking about the future and what that looks like. And it's just, very, very long-winded way to say, like, yes, Aaron, you hit the mark. You've served your purpose. We will continue on this journey. And we appreciate all the help that you've given us thus far. I know it's only going to continue.
Well, I appreciate particularly the comment about being able to just talk about finances without worrying about, I don't know, just any kind of emotional reaction or baggage, because I work with a lot of small businesses, and a lot of them are just owner-operated stuff. And sometimes I get a new client that everything, they have revenue dropping in this account, then they transfer it over here, and they're paying expenses out of that account, and they just, because they haven't been able to track it properly, they feel so embarrassed. They're so stressed because they don't actually know for sure if they're making money or not. And they just they just start getting so in their own head, and they will just ramble to me, and I'm just like, it's okay. Like, we'll get it sorted out as long as you help give me the attention I need to get it sorted out, and then you'll know, and we'll know, and we'll get it, and we can get it to the point where you don't really have to think about it, but then you'll also have the numbers right there in front of you.
Yep.
And it's nice to be able to do that for people.
Yeah, it has offered great peace of mind. From the start, I say I'm uptight about money. I love to spend money, but I look at my bank account every single day. I look at my credit card charges every single day. I want to know where our money's going. I hate having outstanding invoices. I hate owing people money. If I know we owe someone money, I will harp on it every single day. To Heidi right now, like, we have a great vendor for our merchandise, right? And it takes a little bit to get the invoices. And that's just, businesses operate that way sometimes. And every day I'm like, have you gotten that invoice? Have you gotten it? Because I know when I look at our bank account that we owe someone X amount of money. And so I'm very uptight about it, but having Aaron and knowing that everything is clean and organized and accounted for helps me relax a little bit, because if it was me balancing those books, I mean, it would be really stressful.
Yeah, it would not be filling your cup.
Correct. It would not be fun anymore. And we're lucky that, like, it's awesome that we are in a place where we're making money and seeing the fruits of our labor already. We didn't anticipate it to happen quickly, but it has. And Aaron has just helped us understand the different buckets that, we are earning revenue from, what our expenses look like. And it's just been nice to have a full understanding. And we've been able to, like, think ahead a little bit more. This is what we've seen the first 2 months. And if this stays consistent, here's how we approach the next few months. It just offers a lot of peace of mind that if we didn't have his services, it would feel a lot different.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's great to hear.
Yeah.
There we go. We don't have to keep talking about me.
It's kind of fun, right? Get hyped up a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Accounting, unfortunately, is just not really a sexy thing, but it's important. It's the backbone of
Aaron
every
would disagree.
business.
Well, what's funny is that I studied accounting because my friend's dad, who made money in insurance, and my grandfather, I asked them both, I'm just that guy that wants to go into business. I'm going to get a business degree. What should I study? And they're like, accounting. Like, I don't even know if either of them studied accounting, but they're like, you should study accounting because you'll learn more about business in there than anywhere else. And they all try and shove you through the CPA route, go to the public accounting, go to a big firm, something or another. I never did. I'm not a CPA. I didn't go to get my master's degree. I didn't sit for the CPA exams. I didn't intend on being an accountant, but I worked for 5 years as an accountant, and then thought, I could do this, but for other businesses. And so then, I just jumped ship and was like, I guess I'll merge my two ambitions of having a business and I guess I will be an accountant. But it's funny, I guess one last comment too is how many people don't, like, for a lot of people to say the word CPA or just say the word accountant, they think that literally just means taxes. Like, yeah, my accountant. I already have an accountant. But like, yeah, but what do you do, like, for your bookkeeping? Like, who's tallying up everything and who's paying bills or who's processing payroll? And they're like, oh yeah, I just kind of figured I tally it up and give it to my tax guy. And I'm like, wow, that's pretty important.
Yeah.
And that actually is the nuts and bolts of accounting. It's like the debits and the credits and double entry accounting and all the boring jargon. So,
well, I would say when we started talking about an accountant, I mean, a lot of it hinged on the taxes, right? Mm-hmm. And then you start to step back and realize how many things go into accounting. Mm-hmm. And a main driver for us is the investment that we made into the business and how do we approach that. Mm-hmm. And that felt like a big undertaking of managing that timeline and what makes sense so we're not getting ahead of ourselves and how much capital do we keep and XYZ. And even with, if we just focused in on an accountant for our taxes, we weren't getting the answers to those questions. Mm-hmm. And so we realized just that we think like bookkeeping is more of a service that we needed. And then in the end, it would make taxes easier, right? Mm-hmm. Because Absolutely. Everything is all put together for you. And so, we may have had a little bit of a backwards approach and backed ourselves into it. But I'm glad it worked out how it did. Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Well, thanks for doing this.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now, honestly, it worked out that Heidi didn't come because actually that just means sometime in the future we get to have you guys back. So.
Yeah, I know she's bummed, but she's out playing golf. She has such a hard job, right? Yeah. I do feel bad. It's a little bit hot out there, so I'm gonna have to check on her, make sure she's drinking her water,
hydrating, getting her electrolytes.
Exactly. No, it's been such a fun journey. I mean, Heidi and I we're very lucky that, one, we found each other as friends, and two, like, we were just so compatible as business partners. It's been a journey. We do sometimes have to remind ourselves to separate the two, right? Like, every time we start chit-chatting about life, just to check in, it's, have you done this or have you done that? Yeah. And we're still managing that. We're working through that process, but it's been quite a journey. It's awesome to see like the fruits of our labor and for us to get to enjoy it too. And just excited to see the impact we continue to have on our clients, on the community, and seeing the business grow. I mean, I can't believe that we did this. It's crazy. Like they just let anyone start a business. I can't believe that. Just like two girls who love to work out one day thought like, let's just go sign a lease. And now it's a whole ass business. This is why we need Aaron to make sure we pay our taxes. And we're doing it all above board. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. These are the moments where I have to remind myself, like, you guys have really come so far. But it's very rewarding.
It is.
That's awesome.
I think more people should open businesses.
I'm sure
you can do their accounting.
But also like I said, like the side hustle thing is such an American thing. I mean, just small business.
Yes.
Like running an organization at a human scale level is just so American.
Yeah.
It's also, I guess, super American to like to do like a startup and have a mega corp tech business.
Yeah, well, I would say small business is what our communities are. You know, that's what our community is made of, is small businesses. Yeah, we have a Kroger or a Walmart or whatever, but it's the small businesses that really make our communities, you know, what they are. And so to be able to also, not only you get to do the accounting, but we get to learn about a lot of new businesses and we get to come and support our businesses. And so like or your clients. And so like even me just being a part of like Ripple, never in a million years would I have done that if I hadn't known about. I would have probably never even heard of you because it wasn't something that I knew about. And so it's great for us too to be able to just support small business and
Yeah, it's so fun. I mean, I think group fitness is such a wonderful industry, but so much of it has become franchised, right? And so while a lot of them are independently owned in the local community, it's different to have a brand that is completely from scratch and quite honestly with zero intentions of franchising. Like if we opened a second, that would be fantastic someday down the road, but we're just truly want to be where our feet are and enjoy what we have going on. So it's cool to be a small business. It's kind of a funny thing to say, but it's a really unique place to be. And I don't know if people get to do it as much as they once did. The community runs so much on franchises anymore, and you just being a small business in a community, it just feels a lot different. It makes you feel more ingrained in the community, and it's just a different level of involvement than I ever like thought I would have.
Alrighty, thanks guys for coming to that podcast and listening all the way through. If you have a small business, regardless of where you're located in the United States, Bonaventure Bookkeeping can help you count your debits and your credits. We can count those beans. We can process payroll. We can process sales tax. We'll put together your financial statements. We can invoice customers. We can process bills. There's probably all kinds of things beyond that we can help you with. So please reach out. Our website is bonabook, BONABOOK.xyz. Thanks.